Japan recently announced that they will be buffing the military. Japan's national security strategy will be updated to outline Japan's new defense policy for the next 10 years. This plan will, for the first time, clearly write out Japan's right to possess counter-strike capabilities. More importantly, the government proposed budget will make Japan the third largest military spender in the world. And this is where the Prime Minister is choking. Money. The Japanese government plans to spend 43 trillion yen, or $318 billion in the next 5 years. Prime Minister Kishida concluded that the government would be 1 trillion yen, or $7 billion short. Therefore, he announced that the government will increase taxes to meet the proposed budget. And Kishida is being criticized left and right, and even from his own party. So before we look into how Kishida can better proceed, let's first look into his proposed tax plan. The government hopes to reach 1 trillion yen by increasing taxes in the following 3 categories: 700 to 800 billion yen in corporate taxes, 200 billion yen in tobacco taxes, and 200 billion yen from the special income tax for rebuilding northern Japan. When Kishida announced the possibility of raising taxes, he denied the possibility of increasing revenue through government bonds. In other words, in Kishida's point of view, taxes are the only stable and consistent way to support the new budget. Kishida argued that government bonds will put pressure on future citizens. It is, in his words, the responsibility of current citizens to carry the burden. I bet you can imagine how Japanese people responded to that. The LDP had to revise its statement a day later to mention that this is our responsibility. Another problem is the proposal to tap into the special income tax for rebuilding northern Japan. The purpose of this tax is to help northern Japan to recover from the damages of the 2011 Tohoku earthquake. This tax was supposed to end in 2037, but there seems to be an idea to extend this for defense purposes. The LDP eventually came to a conclusion that the special income tax should be decreased. However, a special defense tax will make up the decreased amount. Again, I bet you can imagine how citizens responded to this announcement. Furthermore, the LDP is divided on the proposed tax, especially the Kishida cabinet. First of all, the Minister of Reconstruction, Akiba, declined that part of the special income taxes will not be used for Japan's defense budget. The LDP's chairman of policy research, Hagiura, argued that government bonds should be considered. The Minister of State for Economic Security, Takaichi, openly criticized Kishida, which rarely happens in Japanese politics. According to Takaichi, the Prime Minister should wait at least until next spring so that he would have a better idea of Japan's budget. She even told reporters that she wouldn't be surprised if Kishida kicked her off the cabinet for her opposing views. This is quite interesting because Takaichi and Kishida ran against one another to become Prime Minister, but LDP political factions deserve a video on its own. Other LDP politicians have openly criticized the Prime Minister as well. Although Kishida promised that a specific tax plan will be released by the end of the year, there are rumors that the LDP will continue discussion next month. He pretty much opened a can of worms. So, why is the Prime Minister doing this now? Kishida's current approval rate is quite low, and at this point, it looks like he's doing a speed run to 0%. There's honestly no reason for Kishida to announce that he plans to increase taxes. He could have waited until 2026 to make his plan seem inevitable. From what I've been reading, it seems like Kishida wants to be transparent with the citizens of Japan from the beginning of the planning process. But here's 3 problems with Kishida's defense tax proposal. Having a target budget is good, but the Prime Minister hasn't really shared why this certain amount is necessary. For example, is 1 trillion yen really necessary? It's a lot of money, but 1 trillion yen is a small percent of the proposed 43 trillion yen budget. The government is putting the cart before the horse. There needs to be an explanation why taxes are necessary, which means a clear defense spending explanation. There's also a lack of clarity when these taxes will be raised. No one is sure whether these taxes will start from 2024 or 2027. So, why discuss taxes at the end of the year? This will only confuse and make people mad. And as I was recording this video, I found out that it seems like the LDP will decide when to raise taxes at a later date, like next year. Last but not least, mentioning taxes when regular citizens' living costs are increasing is a political suicide. Unlike other developed countries, the regular Japanese employee hasn't seen a raise in their salary for the past 30 years. Regardless of stagnant income, prices of products and taxes have increased. Yes, there are definitely threats pointed towards Japan, but there is a very real threat within the country as well. An unrewarding economy. Why increase the defense budget if the citizens you want to protect are struggling to make ends meet? Also, I'm a bit worried that we're all caught up with the details of how to finance this buff, rather than talking about what military changes are appropriate or not. If you were Kishida, how would you proceed? I would love to hear your thoughts, so leave a comment below, press the like button, and subscribe to learn more about Japanese politics.